Okay, let me start.
Yes, so but this one here. Right. Just like you have the real of me. I am trying to be truthful. Okay. Okay.
Not true.
Okay. I hope you. So part A, part B.
Okay, good. That make sure you have an answer in your head as well. Okay, somebody got it wrong. Move rapidly over short distances. Yes. Oh, I think this is the model answer. That's why this is the official one. So I pass one another. Okay, let's go on.
So what I said before was that question 10 and 11 is
Okay,
very simple.
Too easy.
It's just that you guys didn't really copy, that's why you all did not make an answer.
Tensions here at the top.
So I'm gonna explain question 10 again to you. Okay. 3 years ago, Alex was X years old.
True.
So meaning now he is X plus 3 years old. Right? And they say his brother is twice as old as him. So 3 times is. So 3 times X plus 3 is
Not true.
That's his brother's age, which is answer for part A. Okay?
Okay, not true. Actually, they are constantly moving because even vibration is considered a form of movement.
X plus 3x, 4x, 3 plus 9, 12. 4x plus 12. That is now. In 7 years' time, both will grow 7 years older, right? So plus 7 plus 7. Okay. 4x plus 12 plus 7 plus 7. Your 4x won't change anything. Still 4x. 12 plus 7 plus 7 is 6. Okay, so in 7 years' time, this is their age. Okay.
Correct. Yep. Okay. Here they give you 2 possible answers. We move about freely or kept rather close together. Okay, good. We still at the top.
A rectangular tank, 18 cm long and 12 cm wide. I do it.
Okay, good. Shouldn't get it wrong.
You know, space is correct, right? 18 cm long, 12 cm wide. Was built to take water to tank, y cm. Okay, if you can't visualize, you can draw it out. Okay? And you see, it's built a height of 5 cm, so I'm gonna say it's right here.
Okay, the size doesn't increase. I mean, at least the particle size doesn't increase, but they simply move further apart.
So the water level.
Right, so yeah, try not to get this wrong. Here at the top.
A rectangular tank. 18 cm wide, 12 cm, 18 cm long, 12 cm wide. I drew of the alpha shot.
Okay, no problem.
And this is y cm high.
She is still me.
Okay. Okay. And they say the water level increased to 10 cm and some marbles were placed. That means after marbles were placed.
All right, good. That's for a solid, of course.
Probably. Okay, you want to find out
Okay.
what was
All right,
the
good.
increase?
Everybody got this. Now, in theory, there are no forces of attraction in theory, but in practice, well, of course, there will be.
It's like because so now the increase of what CM capital, NCM's capital, right? So the thing
Okay, good. All of them are gases. We should recognize that.
Right.
Okay, same thing. All got it.
That's not. They even find it from anyone, so we want.
My hands.
So they say what is ECM? You have to find the increase in the volume after the bubbles. So remember volume,
Yeah, obviously force, different substances and different particles.
like I'm right, correct? They give you your leg right really. Or your height. Okay? They say that increase the volume. Right? That means.
Okay, that is very good. And
It is why you have to be in the height. Because if they tell you eight, why is 8 here? Means this is. Okay. So we just want to find the volumes.
okay,
For the volume. Okay. So if this is the height increase. Then it's a height for the volume.
oh, all right. Size of iron particles. No, the size does not change. Oh, okay. Because of the last question. All right. I hope there are not any questions. Of course, you can ask, but I don't suppose so. All right. So, okay, that was a quick revision. Yeah, let's go back to our lesson. All right, take out your notebook. Okay, before we start, anyone has any particular questions or particular topics you want to clarify or review? That anything? No? Okay, anything you want to ask? No. Okay, go. Okay, let's do a quick overview of this topic, human circulatory system.
We have not that one.
Let me just regain the connection. So, okay, come, let's expand on what you know. It's no longer just heart, blood vessels, right? So you need to go a bit more into detail. Right, first, come, let's draw a heart. Yeah, you can draw a heart on your paper first because I'm getting this thing to start up. Okay, so yeah, let's run. Okay, now you got to know more than just this. Now, for humans, there are 4 chambers. Okay, they really call these chambers, right? So make sure you use the right term, 4 chamber. But obviously, other animals will have a different number. For example, amphibians, you have 3 fishes, they only have 2 chambers. Right, but we won't go into those animals. So 4 chambers. Now, upper portion is called atrium. ATRUM. Okay, atrium. Atrium. Now, in English, the word atrium means entrance. So they don't use that. I mean, they don't use entrance in biology, but atrium means entrance. Now, of course, entrance for what? Entrance for blood, of course. Okay, I'll use the word entrance loosely. So the word atrium is entrance. Now, the lower portion is called ventricle. So the lower 2 chamber, you have 2 ventricles and 2 atria. Now, no doubt this is not English lesson, but just a note, the plural of atrium is atria. Ventricle, I think no surprise here, they are the exits. Okay, one other very, very important thing. This heart is looking at you. So this person is facing you. Okay, you're not examining your own heart. This heart is facing you. That person is facing you, which also means this is the right side. It's important. This is important. By default, when you see a heart, a diagram, that person is facing you. So right ventricle. That's how we separate into the two atria and the 2 ventricles. So please add in the word left and right. I'm going to erase the word facing you, but this is important though. Make sure you realize that it's always facing you, even for your test and exam, unless they tell you otherwise. Okay, what else? Well, hold on. Let me just zoom out a bit. Okay, so basically now you add in your blood vessel. I changed the right. So let's continue. So I add in the blood vessels. Right, of course, there's one coming up from the bottom, one coming up from the both bottoms actually. Let me change the color. Okay, so there's one coming up here. It's a bit slow. Okay, there's one coming out here. Another blood vessel coming out here. Now, important thing, whatever vessel is leaving the heart is called an artery or arteries. Okay, let me use singular. Mean you may want to write down somewhere artery by definition means leaving the heart. Well, of course, from the top, atrium means the blood enters, so you have a major vessel entering from the top. So, by definition, these are veins. Okay, the word vein simply means returning to the heart. But of course, where did they go to? Well, you should learn that in primary school. Okay, before that, what is above your heart? Oh, okay, or close to your heart. Yeah, Tingshan, what's close to your heart? What's close? Yeah, of course. You have your, okay, like this color. Okay, so you have your lungs. And this branch here go to your lungs. Oh, you have to remember exactly which branch. The left one or the right one. And of course, from here, it returns back to the heart. So don't mess up your left and right. They'll definitely ask something like this. Now, one more new word for you to remember. Anything that is related to the lungs, what's the medical word for that? Ninja, what's the medical word for lungs? P. P. Right. Pulmonary. Oh, well, that's the nature of bio. There are a lot of all these terms that you need to know. So this is called pulmonary artery. That means it goes from the heart to the lungs. Of course, not just single one by right. There is more than one, but I shan't draw so many. And therefore, this one is called pulmonary vein. Because the vein goes back to the heart from the lungs. And you probably can figure out where the other two go to. Right, so this guy is important, right? It goes to the rest of the body. Maybe I draw one block here. Right. Now, sometimes, depends on your school, that they'll call it systemic artery. Right, systemic meaning system, it goes to the rest of the system. there's another important name for this major artery. This is a big one that goes to the rest of your body. There's a important name for that. It's called aorta. Okay. Yep, it's a big one. A big blood vessel that supplies the rest of the body with blood. So take note of this name, aorta. Well, you can probably figure out where it goes next. So from the rest of the body, it goes back here. Not surprisingly, this vein that goes back is called systemic vein. And depends on your school. Sometimes there's a name for that as well. Right, this is called vena cava. This is Latin. Okay, so yeah, that is a simple overview. Right, but of course your heart doesn't look like this. I'll show you the actual one later on. However, one other thing, perhaps you notice you can split into the right. This is the right. And the left. Okay, and why I do that? Because typically the right side of it, this guy is facing you. The right side will involve deoxygenated blood. Well, of course, no surprise there. Basically, deoxygenated means blood low in oxygen. Nothing new. Oh, let me hook up my head. Of course, the left side will involve oxygenated blood. You don't have a problem selling. Okay, left is deoxygenated, right is oxygenated. Specifically, I'm referring to these few blood vessels. Okay, so this one is deoxygenated, low in oxygen.
42% of the money from the finish.
This is also low in
So
oxygen.
how much was he left?
Okay, so that would be the right side. Again, on the other hand, left side is referring to this vein, pulmonary vein, and systemic artery. They will be oxygenated. They contain oxygenated blood. Okay, can. But let's go a bit further. Now, by now you should notice, okay, for your level, you only need to know 3 types of blood vessels. One is, I already told you, artery, the other is veins, and the last one, Ninja, what's the last one? Okay, good, capillaries. So, yep, 3 types of blood vessels. So far, I only mentioned veins, and let me try to get some space.
The percentage of the
Okay, let me try and get some space here. So 3 times. Well, of course, you need to know a few differences between them. Okay, one will be artery. Two will be your vein. Three will be your capillary. Well, of course, I'm using singular here. Right, basically, artery, as I defined earlier, they carry blood away from the heart. Artery away from heart. Vein back to the heart. Okay, capillaries will be go right into your tissues or within your tissue. And their purpose is to supply nutrients to cells, to your individual cells. But don't forget the second purpose of capillaries, they also remove wastes. Come, Jishan, tell me what are examples of nutrients? Carbohydrate. Not in that sense. What are nutrients? What nutrients are we talking about right here? Oh, okay. What does blood carry? Water? Oxygen. Okay, yeah, good. All right, your nutrients. Let me just be a bit broad here. Nutrients will include oxygen. Don't forget in your primary school, they mentioned the other one, oxygen and digested food. But by now, you shouldn't be using the word digested food anymore. So glucose. What else? That what else is glucose? What else is inside digested food? When you digest proteins, what do you get? Yeah. Okay, so all this look familiar, I hope. And of course, don't forget your fatty acid. These are all considered nutrients. And of course, that small companion of fatty acids, glycerol. But of course, there are other things too, which I won't go into it, like hormones and so on, but we will not go into that. Right, wastes. What's the major waste? May? That is removed by blood. Okay, yeah, carbon dioxide. Okay, and of course, other stuff like dead cells and so on, but we won't go into that. Okay, let's carry on. the other thing is artery are typically carries oxygenated blood. Typically, take note of the word typically. All right, oxygenated blood.
Any person? So far, the fingerprint. Alright. Okay, we see.
Except there's one major exception. Except your pulmonary artery. Remember, pulmonary artery goes to the lungs. So obviously, you don't go to the lungs for fun. Basically, the one that is going to the lung carries deoxygenated blood, not enough oxygen. All right. So, well, on the other hand, vein typically deoxygenated blood. Are carried by the veins. Again, note the major exception. Lastly, for capillary, well, they are workhorses, so they carry both. All right, they carry both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood.
Very
Okay. Yep. Just a few more things. Just a note, oxygenated blood. How does it look like? Appearance? Appearance of oxygenated blood. Okay. Right. Great. All right, come, guys. Right somewhere. All right, oxygenated blood. Right. Great. Deoxygenated. Well, of course, it's still red. It's not blue. It's dark red.
Purple.
Purple.
Yeah, that's a Thanos so purple.
What is purple?
Thanos.
Thanos. I thought he only has purple skin. Oh, by the way, even though not related, but it won't be asked, why is it red? Actually, red is still to the iron. Okay, it's the iron that gives it that red color. That's why you find red soil, your soil is red, orangey, it's due to the iron inside the soil and the even in water. Okay, let me see anything else. Okay, for this, for arteries, typically the flow is pulsating.
Never say anything. I'm gonna assume.
Okay, that means your flow doesn't just, the blood doesn't just flow continuously, it flow in pulses according to your heartbeat. Right, your heart contract, your blood will push through the artery. Expand, it will pause for a while. Contract again, the blood will continue flowing. All right, so it flow in pulses. Okay, you remember they are pushed by the heart. Now, on the other hand, for the veins, it would be considered steady flow. So it flows slowly and continuously. So that's all very simple. For people, it's sometimes you see in the movies, people get cut, and then especially the neck, then you see the blood spurting out, spurt. That is an artery. Artery has been cut. But if the blood just flow out steadily, then there's probably a vein cut. But neck is very dangerous. You cut both at the same time, it's possible. Right. Finally, capillary.
That's how they kill people when crack the head.
Crack the head, crack the head, no, you're not cutting the blood vessel. You are breaking the neck and therefore sever your spinal cord. Spinal cord is carry all your nerves. So there are no more messages from your brain to the rest of the body. Then, but of course you can do cutting as well. You just cut off the artery and the vein. Right? There are two here, one on the left, one on the right. Both artery and vein, one on the left, one on the right. Okay, capillary will be it's not exactly steady, just still use the word steady. But in small amounts. So most of the time when you cut your finger, cut your skin, that would be a capillary flow. Right, your blood. Okay, come. Basically, this is the model answer. Your blood oozes up. You like to use this model answer, oozes up. It's steady, but steady in a small amount.
So this we share some money.
Okay, can that's why you won't die from a paper cut. You won't die from a cut on your finger. But if you cut your artery or vein, you can die. Yeah. Okay, just a note. Veins are closer to the surface. You can see the veins, all the blue ones. They are closer to the surface. You would not see your artery, at least not like that. They are deep inside, much deeper inside. 1/4 inch. You want to cut your artery, you need to cut at least 1/4 inch. That means you cut long. You use your strength to cut so that you can cut through 1/4 inch, which is how many cm? About 5 cm. Now cut about 5-6 cm, then you will reach your artery. No, sorry, 5 mm, not 5 cm. 5 mm. Sorry, your diameter is not that big. Okay, so what else? Okay, one important thing, the blood in your arteries are flowing at high pressure. Okay. All right, you can write down if you want. Arteries, high pressure flow. Yeah, of course, they are from the heart, no? The heart is pushing the blood. Now, vein, I would say intermediate pressure. E stands for pressure. Oh, of course, you can measure the pressure, which is why there's such a thing called blood pressure. Now this one will be low pressure. That's why your blood oozes up. It doesn't spurts up. Oh, having said that, let me just write out. They love to use this word, spurts up. All right, like a fountain, you spurt and spurt and spurt. Yeah, that's why it's very dangerous. You will die within minutes. 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Even if you put plaster,
Master will not stop.
no harm.
You have to use a thick gauze and push onto it. But that may not work either. So you use what they call tourniquet. Basically, you use a device. Let's say you are cut here. So let's say you're cut at your wrist, your artery is cut. You have to put a tourniquet probably further up here or maybe up here and tie it very tightly such that I constrict your arteries.
Really?
So blood will not flow. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that the blood won't flow out anymore. I
What
constrict this
what
part.
the heck that?
Yes, you cannot leave the tourniquet there for too long. If it's more than an hour, then your hand will be gone. Okay, so anyway, that's the theory. All right, let me see what else. Oh, yes, artery has no valves. No valves. Valves are like, it's hard to describe. It's like a membrane within the blood vessel. But what you need to know is vein has valves. Of course, you'll be asking, what's the purpose of valves? Valves prevent the blood from flowing backwards. That means it allows the blood to flow only in one direction. Okay? So for your arteries, the pressure is very strong, so definitely you only flow in one direction. But for your vein, the pressure is not so strong, and you do not want the blood to go backwards. So that's why it has valves to prevent backflow. Hopefully not too technical to you. Okay? Veins has valves to prevent backflow. Okay, now capillary, no need for valves. So obviously they don't have. And it is too small. All right, so capillary, no need for valves. Okay, guys, just write down first. I think this thing is a bit laggy today. Okay, what else? No need for valves. Basically, just a reminder, valves is to prevent backflow.
How she have 3% weight, right? She had 700 milligrams small milligram.
Okay, oh, yes, one last thing.
So
Remember the high pressure part? All right, so to withstand the high pressure, your arteries has to be elastic and muscular.
100%. What she used to make for pizza and what she used to make for cookies, right?
Okay.
Because
Yeah, you need to withstand the pressure, otherwise it's going to burst. No? If it bursts, you're dead as well.
this will be your.
Well, for veins, you just describe it as less elastic and less muscular. Yes, still very muscular.
It had 700 milligrams more information than the amount of lines leaves. So that means this one,
Capillaries, they are of course not muscular. In fact, they are very thin. And oftentimes just one cell thick.
what? 4?
Yeah.
The remaining stuff.
Capillary thickness is only one cell. Of course, you need your nutrients to go out of the capillaries and your wastes to go into the capillaries, so you cannot have them thick. They must be thin. But of course, that also is related to the low pressure. All right, any questions? No? Oh, fine. Okay, let me think. Anything else? Let me double check. Yeah. Oh, I think you all know already. Blood vessels are considered an organ. Okay, all the blood vessels are considered an organ. All right. Just a couple more medical terms here. Maybe you want to jot down. When your heart contracts, that is when blood and stomach. And they use this medical term, systolic phase. When your heart relaxes or expands, that's the diastolic phase.
From where?
Right. And if you have done your blood pressure measurement, all right, remember there are two values for blood pressure. The systolic is the higher value. Okay, if you go and test your blood pressure, there are two values all the time. And the diastolic will be the lower blood pressure value.
grams. Equals to 1%.
Okay, let me see. Questions, anyone? No? Anything else I missed out? Oh yeah, one last thing. Blood. Now, blood is very complicated, of course, but for your level, you only need to know 4 things inside. All right. For now, you only need to know it has 4 components. Water is there too, even though it's not written here. Red blood cell, white blood cell, platelets, and plasma. Okay, 4 components of blood. Red blood cell, of course, carries oxygen. I think we have done this before in the chapter on cells, so I won't elaborate too much. Again, not surprised here. Basically, they are red because of the iron inside, but we won't go into detail. White blood cell, actually, there are 4 types. However, you do not need to know them. In general, they fight infection. Platelets, there are quite a few types. However, we just mentioned their purpose. Basically, they enable blood to clot. Plasma will be the rest. Everything else will be plasma. And by the way, plasma carries your wastes, including CO2. Right. But obviously it also carries your nutrients, except for O2. And if you can separate it out, it can be done in the lab. It will be yellowish liquid. Even though it doesn't flow very well. Okay, yellowish liquid.
So they took human blood, then separate it. Oh,
Yeah, they do that because sometimes you don't need all the other stuff. You just need the
how
plasma,
are they gonna get fresh blood?
fresh blood from real people like you.
So they go to the lab and say, put out your wrist.
Well, they get from the blood bank. Blood bank stores a lot of all the donated blood. From
Yeah.
there,
Can get
I mean, probably they had to buy or something. Right. But yeah, you can do the separation of the blood in the lab. Okay. Okay, any other questions? No? Anything? Let me see whether we have anything. Okay, this one is for plants already. Okay, so if now come guys, quickly just fill in this. This is a more realistic diagram than the one I showed you earlier. All right, yep. Fill in the blanks. Okay, maybe I show you the actual image as well, in case that is not very clear.
Repeat this question again. So you listen. Okay. So then try to 15% of the blood with design 24% of the blood with big substance. So if 100% minus those two, whatever is left is remaining, right? And next sentence, she had 720 grams more remaining blood than the amount of blood used to make the pizza. So my blood used to make pizza is 720 grams more than 15% my remaining. This should be how much I have now. So that means that remaining 51%, 15% of 720 grams. Okay. That means if I subtract the 15 away from both sides, my 36% is 720 grams. Okay. Since I got that, I can find 1%, 1% is 20 grams. And find how much blood she have at first, 100%, which is 2000 grams. Okay. Again, the most confusing part will be this part, right? Where it said she had 700 grams more remaining blood than the amount of blood this is out. Okay. Okay. Question 7.
Okay, one important thing, the real heart is not so straightforward. Even though this is the ventricle, it doesn't mean it exits downwards. This from the ventricle, it actually exits upwards. Okay, from this ventricle, your blood vessel exits upwards. Now, same thing for this ventricle. Not this ventricle, but does it go downwards? No, it doesn't. The blood vessel exits upwards. Okay, it goes upwards and moves to the rest of the body. That is a real heart. So next time, if you're a heart surgeon, make sure you will operate on the right blood vessel. The wrong one means, yeah, your patient is going to die probably. And of course, we are not talking about a single vessel. You are likely to see more than one vessel like this and this. It's not just a single one. So one, where do they go to?
Go to lung. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh no, go back. Go back.
They go back to the heart. So that means are they artery or vein?
Okay.
Vein, okay. And where do they originate from? Lung. Okay, so it makes sense to call them pulmonary. Remember, anything linked to the lungs will be called pulmonary, and since they go back to the heart, they are veins. So it's usually not a single one. Oh, these are, well, these are inside the lungs. Basically, they are the, if you want, you can add in the word pulmonary. They are the pulmonary capillaries. And no surprise there, they allow for gas exchange. Well, this one, make sure you know, you should recognize this is your lung.
Then down here.
Yes, now there will be more capillaries. If you want, you can add in the word systemic if you want. No surprise, obviously there are two, you notice there are two systemic veins that goes back to the heart. This is from above the heart. That means that includes your head. Okay, from above the heart. And this one also goes back into the heart, but it's from all the portions of your body below the heart. Okay, well, of course, they go back to this part here. And this is the, okay, entrance, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, atrium. And remember, this guy is facing you, so that would be the right atrium. Well, of course, you can recognize. How about this one, May? What is it? Okay, right ventricle. But ventricle is always lower portion of the heart. Atrium is always upper portion. Now, as I said, from this ventricle, the blood doesn't go downwards. It doesn't go downwards. Instead, there's a vessel that goes upwards. One to the left lung and one to the right lung. Not surprising that obviously must one to each lung. Okay. Well, lastly, this one is pulmonary artery. Okay, can pulmonary arteries. One to the left lung again, one to the right lung. Same thing for the veins. Okay, from the right lung and from the left lung. Well, hopefully you can figure out the rest. All right, what is this here? Danger. Yeah, this is the left atrium. Okay, this is going. All right, this is the left atrium, guys. Just write down. How about this one? Zach, what is this? Good, left ventricle. Shouldn't be a problem, huh? This is the left ventricle. Left atrium. Jingxuan, what is this? Right, systemic artery. Of course, if you want, you can call it aorta. But just a note, I mean, even though you don't need to know, obviously you can notice there's a split here. Okay. One goes above the heart and the other splits go below the heart. Yeah, so it's pretty complicated. Now, lastly, probably you know the answer to this one. The last one will be your systemic vein. Of course, you can use the Latin vena cava. It's also called vena cava. Okay, yep, that's the basic. All right, questions, anyone? No? Okay, it's not just one last part for this, which is a bit odd, but well, it's still within this chapter. Okay, so now, remember back then, did I go through the diffusion osmosis in a cell part? No, right? I don't think so. Okay. Yeah. Remember your cell membrane?
25% more than Fiona's monthly salary. First, if Fiona's salary for 6
Cell membrane is there's a property that you need to mention.
So if you buy Fiona's,
It is considered partially permeable.
monthly salary, so 27,000 divided by 6 is 4,000.
I believe your textbooks will be using this term partially permeable. That means only certain substances can go through.
Okay, if you can't understand from here, you can just times 25%, 25 100, find that, then you plus 4,500.
In and out. Okay, partially permeable.
Okay, what you know, annual means they are using salary. Okay, so here, in 1 year, 12 months, right? So 5,600.
Now, this is of course for animal cell, animal cell or even other cells. But don't forget, if it is a plant cell, outside the cell membrane, you will have your Jingquan. Yes, cell wall. Okay, cell wall for plant cell, for bacterial cell, fungi cell. If you have a cell wall. But what I want to emphasize is this: for the cell wall, is fully permeable. Okay, cell wall is considered fully permeable. Anything can go in and out. Right, I think you write it down. So it's fully permeable. Okay, anything can go in and out. No control at all. Okay, but we are not so concerned about the cell wall. We are concerned about the cell membrane. Okay, how do things go through? First one. Now, if let's say I have a high concentration, usually salt or sugar. But could be other things like acids too, right? And others, high concentration, whereas inside the cell is low concentration
Right, 10%.
of the same substance.
After that, what will your first step be?
Guess what? Your substance is going to move from right to left.
10%.
And this process, Angel, is called diffusion. Okay, the keyword is high to low.
Savings increase a bit.
Okay.
So how do you find the percentage?
Now, on the other hand, let's say I have, in this case, high concentration of salt and sugar outside the cell, or this is outside the cell. Means what? I have a lot of water, means I have low water, no? Yeah, more salt and sugar means less water. So the word they want to use is low water potential. That is the word that they use. Right, so guys, write down. So that means outside is low water potential. That means you have a lower water concentration outside. Whereas on the other hand, inside the cell, you have a low concentration. So that is high water potential. Now, guess what will happen? What is going to move? Yes, water is going to flow from left to right. But again, nothing surprising. Your water is moving from high to low. Okay, but let me emphasize, this one only applies to water. Okay, only water is flowing. Angel, what's the name for this process? Yeah, osmosis. Yeah, you spell correctly. Osmosis.
Then reverse is just the other way around.
Yeah, reverse means your water flow from high to low. Sorry, the other way around. The other way around. But we won't touch on reverse because reverse osmosis doesn't occur in nature. It doesn't occur in biological system. It only occurs in artificial system where you force it through. So I won't touch on that. So reminder, osmosis only apply to water. Can take note only for water movement, but it's always from high to low water potential. Okay, last one.
Because they say not only her salary increased by 10%, she saves $21 more. Okay? That means since she did 3% more,
Let's say
3% should be your $21.
let's say you have this situation.
So we want to find the salary in June.
Let me extend this part. But let's say I have a low concentration here. Let's say of a certain waste product, unwanted product.
People make the call.
But outside the cell is a high concentration. Of that same waste product. Now, of course, the cell doesn't like the waste product to remain inside the cell. It needs to force it to go out. But there's a problem, right? I hope you can notice that. Now you're actually forcing it from low to high. Okay, so how do you do that? It's something special. Okay, Angel, what's the process?
Don't understand.
Okay, yeah, this is called active transport. I'll just give you the name first.
The next three questions.
Okay, important. Fusion and osmosis are passive. Passive processes. They occur automatically. As long as you have a difference in concentration, high, low, these two, diffusion and osmosis, will just occur. In other words, you do not need to supply energy from the cell. Okay, no energy is needed from the cell. But this one, the opposite of passive is active. This is not automatic. You need energy from cell. Okay, for active transport to work, you need to supply energy. Where does energy come from?
Energy kind of respiration.
Yes, good. Okay, I'm not going to write down. Obviously, energy comes from respiration of the cell. One last thing. It can't just happen like that. Oh, I try to zoom in. Boy. There is something there. This and this diffusion and osmosis, it can just go straight through. All right, but of course, it all depends on the size of this salt and sugar. All right, if it's too big, it still can't go through. All right, water is definitely small. Water definitely can go through, but this one, you can't just go through like this. There is something here, something on the cell membrane. No, you don't need to know that something, but you just need to know that something is there. Okay, there is something here that allows this thing to go through. This something, and we shall just call it a gateway. That is specific to this waste product. Usually a gateway is made of special protein and fats. Okay, so yeah, of course, on the cell membranes, you don't have just one gateway, you have several of them. And you have other gateways for other substances. Okay, so yeah, that is the simple story. But lastly, let me just go through one last part. Just to make sure you know, especially osmosis, we like to ask about it. Okay, I'll give you 3 situations. Okay, so imagine I have 3 situations, actually 6 situations. Okay, so imagine I have a solution here, a beaker. Okay, 3 beakers. So this is, let's say, pure water. This is salt water. Right? So now, inside each beaker, you put in a red blood cell or animal cell, any animal cell. Okay, you put in your cell. Okay, you put in your cell here, but this one is special. This one has some salt and sugar inside, but let's just stick to salt. But importantly, the salt concentration is same as within the cell. So therefore, take note of these three words. This one is pure water. That means it has very low salt content. So I call this water or solution hypotonic. Now I can also substitute salt and sugar. On the other hand, this solution has the same concentration as within the cell. So therefore, this solution is called isotonic. This one, very salty. So it's called hypertonic. So take note of the three tones: hypo, iso, hyper. Okay, red blood cell. Tell what will happen. Let's think of osmosis. Water will move, right? Remember, osmosis is about water. So water is going to move in the cell or out of the cell. In, okay. Because outside has a high water potential, no? Outside has a low salt content, means you have lots and lots of water. Water goes in. What will happen? The cell will expand. But it's a red blood cell, it cannot expand forever, it's going to burst. Right? Yes. Once it bursts, it's dead. So, for bio, they have all these funny words. Instead of calling it burst, they call it lines. It means burst, by the way. I guess biologists, what are scientists, not just biologists, but chemists, physicists as well. They like to have all these very technical words. Okay, burst. I don't like reading. Yeah, scientific name. How about this case? Is water going to go in? Well, actually, in this case, water will go in, it will also come out. So, no change. There is no change in the volume. Okay, last case, you probably can deduce what will happen. Water is going to come up. Yes, good. Your cell will shrink. But, as usual, they have a scientific or medical term for that. Angel, what's the scientific term for shrinkage of a cell? No, that one is different. But good guess. All right, so this cell will cremate. Yeah, don't you just like size? So many new ones.
You like the person who made up these videos.
Yeah, so if you go to bio, yeah, lots of new words for you. Oh, by the way, I did say that there are 6 situations, right? That was only for animal cell. Animal cell, I repeat, animal cell. Imagine the same thing, you put in a plant cell into each of them. Okay, plant cell. Right, same thing. I'm not going to draw everything. So same thing with your plant cell. Plant cell. Plant cell, you put inside the same solution, hypotonic, isotonic, and hypertonic. Just the same thing will happen. Water goes in. Water goes in and comes out. Water comes out. Okay. Plant cell. But the result will be slightly different. Now, first case, will the plant cell burst? No, probably not, unless the pressure is really big. All right, instead, it will just become very firm. Okay, so it becomes turgid. Which means firm. It becomes fat and firm.
Of course, I got cancer teacher.
You got plant cell. Now, question, why doesn't it burst? They like to ask about this. Angel? Yeah, because of the cell wall. Okay, cell wall. Cell wall. All right, basically the cell wall prevents lysis. All right, so it just make your cell very firm. Okay, for this case, nothing will happen, but they still want to use this word there. For this case, they call the cell flaccid. The word flaccid means soft, which is normal. Okay, in this case, flaccid is normal. Now, last case is very funny. You have the cell wall there, remember?
Wait, what change?
Not exactly. It will. Okay, so you have the cell wall there. But something will happen. Let me use another color. Guess what? The cell membrane will shrink. The cell wall will not shrink, but the cell membrane will. and basically your cell membrane detaches from the cell wall. Okay, water is coming out. Now, no surprising, there's a word for this observation. It is called plasmolysis. The plasmo here refers to the cell membrane, because sometimes they call the cell membrane plasma membrane. So the plasmo refers to the cell membrane. Actually, there's a word. I mean, lysis, you've seen it just now. Basically, it is a breakage. Lysis means breaks. So in this case, your cell membrane breaks away from the cell wall, or detaches from the cell wall. So they call this this observation plasmolysis, which only occurs for plant cells. Okay, I think there's a lot of new concepts for
So
you.
the cell will still survive.
If not too much water escape. Because ultimately, if a lot of water escape, it will still die. All right, questions, anyone? No? All right, then that's all for today.
Oh, I haven't do that yet.
That okay? Okay, bye. Bye. Okay, bye. Bye. What's up? Good to see you, man. You went for what holiday?
When I buy shit. Customs took away my chewing gum.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were close one eye. No.
Huh?
I thought they were close one eye.
Oh, I know. They even accused me of bringing cigarette there.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Then where did they
I was so
come up with that?
confused. I don't know, I don't know.
Oh, that must be a bad experience.
Probably.